Welcome in to Bama Insider Live on this beautiful Monday, September 6th. I'm sure you guys are out at the lake, getting ready to have one more barbecue before the real week starts. But Nick Saban said today it's not an off day for Alabama. We're not taking an off day either here at BamaInsider.com. Kyle Henderson along with Trey Yanity. Definitely hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. Trey, I think when we look back to this game, we certainly learned a lot about this Alabama team. We knew how good this team was going to be from the offensive perspective. That defense was going to be ferocious. But let's open it talking about the impact of losing Chris Allen. We're going to play Nick Saban's comments. You can watch his full press conference in its entirety on our Bama Insider YouTube channel. But, I mean, losing Chris Allen for the season, I don't think it's personally going to be the season. I know the strength and conditioning staff does a great job. Let's talk about the impact of losing Chris Allen.
It is going to be a big loss for this team. Before we get started, guys, happy Labor Day. Matt Hodgins already getting in there. Thanks for the shout out. Happy Labor Day to you as well, Matt. This is a big loss, Kyle. But like Nick Saban said today in his press conference, they had kind of planned around this, not necessarily planned around an injury, but they had planned around rotating guys into that outside linebacker position. We're going to see Chris Braswell now. We're going to see Drew Sanders now. And thankfully, they've been taking reps, not always with the first team, but sometimes with that first team group. And they're pretty close to being at that same level. Obviously, Chris Allen is a different player. I think he brings a little bit more than those two guys. It's not to take away from Sanders or to take away from Braswell either. I think they're both very talented. But Chris Allen really did have that X factor at outside linebacker. You saw it immediately in that game throughout the entire first half, the entire time he was able to play in that game. Will Anderson and Chris Allen were a dominant duo. But I think Drew Sanders and Chris Braswell can come in and supplement for Chris Allen here, at least the next 10 weeks, I think, at best. Maybe we see him for the SEC title for the college football playoff. Like I said on Saturday, this could be a Jalen Waddle situation. Every player is different, and every injury is a lot different, but I'm not ruling it out yet either, Kyle. This is something that we're going to have to keep our eye on. But for now, I think Drew Sanders and Chris Braswell, those are two good options.
Let us know where you're coming from inside the comment box. Again, happy Labor Day to you. Tonight, you got a game taking place, Ole Miss in Louisville. So, and I'm sure everybody watched that game last night between Florida State and Notre Dame. Thought it was a great game. Brian Kelly had some interesting post-game comments. He said today that it was a joke, but I mean, I guess we can dive into that another time. We appreciate you, fans. So definitely hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. Here's Nick Saban just moments ago talking about Chris Allen. We'll kind of run through the press conference, give our take about what we learned from week one. You can provide your take on what you learned inside the comment box. We'll post those on the screen. We'll also talk about some remarks on Drew Sanders, on Trey Sanders, Will Reichard, Jameson Williams, and much more right here on BamaInsider.com. Here's Nick Saban earlier talking about the loss of Chris Allen. It's a short clip, so we'll be right back.
Injury update, Chris Allen does have a foot fracture that will require surgery, so he's most likely out for the year.
And there you have it. I mean, Nick Saban saying that Chris Allen's going to be out for the year. Let's kind of zoom to minute 7:14 of the press conference. And that's where Saban is talking about Drew Sanders and one of the players that we feel is going to emerge in place of Chris Allen, along with Chris Braswell. I know a lot of you have talked about him as well. You also have guys like King Kuda and some other guys within the outside linebacker edge rushing position that I feel could emerge. We'll play the clip of Drew Sanders, and then we'll provide some commentary about that outside linebacker position and how we feel Alabama's defense is going to move forward.
To be the linebacker he is now.
Who was he speaking of?
Drew Sanders.
Yeah, Drew has done a really good job for us. He's been a really good special teams player. Now he's going to have the chance to step up and start, although we've kind of rotated the three of those guys at outside linebackers always starters. So, we've got a lot of confidence in Drew. He's a good athlete, smart, hard worker, plays with toughness, gives great effort. We'll have to, bring some other guys along with that position as well, but we're really pleased and confident in Drew.
Trey, when we look to Alabama's, defense, I mean, what were some bigger takeaways from, in your opinion, from week one? I mean, I thought that the defensive line played exceptional. Nick Saban talked about that earlier today. William Anderson, he was what's more than the Terminator, 9 tackles, 1 sack. What's your assessment early on of this defense? I mean, there was a point where Miami only had 30 yards after like 5 possessions or something like that. what's kind of your take there?
Yeah, the expectation was set high for this group. We knew that they were going to kind of lead this team more so than the offense this year. After week one, I think, both sides of the football are just going to dominate the rest of the season. That was clear. Will Reichard did a great job. That special teams unit's going to be awesome as well. But you look at this defense as a whole, and the depth is what gets you the most excited about it. Losing guys with a lot of firepower like Chris Allen hurts, but the fact that they can turn to two other guys that could start probably every other SEC school is a really good feeling. And an interesting point here in the comments too, guys like Dallas Turner hanging around, some of these younger kids as well that could be a really serious threat at edge rush in the future maybe, but potentially later on this season as well. And somebody else here in the comments, might have lost it here a second ago. I want to give credit where it's due. Go Hawk 05 said Will's going to have an even bigger year now. I think that's a great point. It's kind of like last year. Look at Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle. If Jalen Waddle plays last year, I don't know if Devontae Smith wins the Heisman Trophy. This could be a similar situation on defense here. So there's a lot of depth, a lot of guys to turn to. And another thing I loved was how they're going to manage this cornerback room. I mean, there's a lot of guys you can turn to when they're all healthy. Brian Branch, a little bit of a scare there, but it looks like he's going to remain healthy. I'm going to be really interested to see what they do with Malachi Moore. Who's going to start in that star position? Both of them obviously can do it. We know that now. And I love being able to put Malachi Moore in that safety spot too, so you can get both of them on the field. When Helms comes back, that's going to be a really good problem for this defense to have because they're going to kind of have to pick 2 out of 3. But right now, just the depth is overwhelming, and this defense looked really prepared too.
Charles inside the comment box says, glad King Nkuda didn't transfer. Yeah. And if you missed that during the summertime, because I know there's a lot of transfer news kind of going in and out and everything like that. And so King Nkuda entered the transfer portal. I think it was somewhere like in June or something like that. He never left. He kept practicing with the team, probably just put his name in there. I don't know the whole insight to it, but glad he stayed because as Trey just said, you look to the quality depth. And when DeMarco Helms comes back, I think that's a positive. Now you have multiple guys that can get in there, that can add depth and create value for themselves within that secondary. Someone asked about Henry Toto, and the update on him is he's fine. I think it was some sort of like minor elbow injury. So the only real injury from that game was Chris Allen, a significant injury. If you're just joining us, hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. We appreciate you more than you know. Kind of recapping Nick Saban's Monday press conference. You can watch it in its entirety on our BamaInsider YouTube channel. We also heard from John Metchie and Brian Branch. We'll pipe those press conferences in momentarily. There was some interesting questions to those two posted, right? And John Metchie's such a cool cat. I mean, I love hearing from him. So well-spoken, speaks very eloquently about the team. Nick Saban talked about Cameron Latou and also talked about Jaleel Billingsley. Talked about kind of the message. Can you add a bumper at the bottom? Saban on Billingsley. We can kind of go back and forth on that. Kind of segueing to the offensive side of the ball. And I know you want to hear about Bryce, but I mean, Bryce played flawless. I mean, I was looking at Vegas Insider this morning that Bryce now the Heisman favorite at plus 500. You're not going to win a lot of money on that, but it's fun to talk about. I know it's rat poison, so you're going to have to sidestep that, block out the external factors. Saban talked about Latou. Let's get to that clip, and then we'll play what he was talking about. Kind of the message that he was delivering with Jaleel Billingsley towards the end of that game. And I think it's this next clip right here.
To Mike Rodak.
Cameron Latou was one of the players of the week this week, and Kendall Randolph got out there quite a bit as a blocker. Just how would you assess that position overall, and what opportunities might remain for Jaleel?
Well, I think, first of all, I'd like to evaluate the guys that did play in the game and did a good job in the game. And Cameron Latou certainly, did a good job. He didn't have a lot of experience. I think, the passes that he caught, he made some really good catches, made a good run after a catch, scored a couple touchdowns, did a good job of executing, played his position fairly well. So this is a real positive for us at that position. We've always liked, using Kendall as a big tight end type of blocker. And I thought he did a really good job in the game, especially the fact that he was coming off of an ankle, sprain. So we'll continue to try to develop players at that position, and hopefully, they'll make the decisions to do the things they need to do to improve, and that will reflect in how much playing time they get.
Interesting comments there from Coach Saban regarding Cameron Latou, who went crazy, right? And you think about, I'm not surprised to see that because Cameron Latou and Bryce Young clearly have some sort of good connection. You look to the spring game where Bryce connected with Cameron Latou for a touchdown during the preseason camp. I think they connected for 2 more touchdowns. So there's good depth at that tight end position. And then, excuse me, there's also Kendall Randolph, who they use as a tackle, tight end, in blocking type situations. We'll play the clip now of Saban explaining what he was delivering with Jaleel Billingsley. But I wanted to point out something. Christopher is asking about the blocking schemes. Now, if you watch Nick Saban's press conference, his $4 super chat right here, by the way. Thank you so much.
Man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Charles.
Yeah. Thank you, Charles. We appreciate it. If you watch Saban's press conference, he does talk about the offensive line. So maybe we'll run through that as well. But here's Saban talking about Billingsley. I thought it was a great soundbite to provide because everybody saw on TV, and especially on social media, of Saban and Billingsley next to one another. And with Billingsley, listening to Saban's message. Here is Nick Saban talking about the message to Billingsley, and that is at the 12:50 mark. So let's get that right here. Here you go.
We do even more so than we did in the first game.
We'll finish up with Joe Gaither.
Coach, midway through the game, the cameras caught you and Jaleel Billingsley talking on the sidelines, and it seemed like he was very intently listening to what you had to say. His father actually put a tweet out there about enjoying that moment. Can you let us know what the message is that you were trying to convey to him in that moment, and just how you think he responded on Saturday?
Well, we're just always trying to encourage players to do the right things and do the things that they need to do to create value for themselves. And, Jaleel and I have talked, on several occasions because he's certainly a guy that we want to have success for his own benefit individually as well as, for the team. And, sometimes when you get a little external encouragement, it can be a positive thing for you. And I think he, for the first game, I think he did okay when he went out there and played.
Coach, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
That was Nick Saban on Billingsley. I want to continue to stay with the offense and talk about Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams, I thought, had a fantastic performance against Miami. He was a transfer from Ohio State, bringing up his stats now. John Metchie had 6 receptions for 76 yards. Jameson Williams had 4 receptions for 126 yards with that 94-yard touchdown. I was thinking about it, and let me know what you think about inside the comment box. And by the way, thank you very much, Chris. We appreciate you with the super chat as well. Super chats, if you're wondering what those are about, basically a tip to the staff. Remember, free to watch, not free to produce. You guys have certainly helped us become a big YouTube channel, and it's all because of you. So we sincerely appreciate it. Remember, a thumbs up goes a long way. When you look to Jameson Williams, he transferred from Ohio State, and it was really important for Alabama to figure out this wide receiving room, not because of a lack of talent, but anytime you lose Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, those are big time guys, right? All first round draft picks. So who's going to step up this year? If you listen to our Nuggets, I was telling you about Williams and just kind of what he's going to provide to this room. Everybody saw Ohio State's wide receivers against Minnesota. Very, very talented. Jameson Williams comes in 4 receptions, 126 yards in the opener. Saban had some very positive things to say about Williams. Let's play that soundbite. I think it's at 12. And then we'll go forward.
Other players, just with that vertical threat he has.
Well, I think that, having the right combination of guys at receiver is really, really important. And, I do think he complements, the other players that we have because he has great vertical speed. And the things that he does well sort of complements some of the things that some of the other guys do well, like, John Metchie and some of the other receivers, Slade, JoJo, some of the other guys that we have. And, we're anxious to have all those guys continue to develop. And I think that, as we grow and learn as an offensive team, maybe we can, feature those guys in the things that they do even more so than we did in the first game.
Here on BamaInsider, definitely hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. We appreciate you more than you know. Trey, your take on Jameson Williams and kind of this receiving room as a whole. As I mentioned, Metchie with 6 receptions, 76 yards. Williams with 126 yards. A lot of that came from the 94-yard touchdown reception. Kamla 2, 43 yards. Slade Bolden 3 receptions, 26 yards.
I mean, we knew he was going to be the deep ball guy. And I really didn't know exactly how much they were going to use that because this offense is going to work a lot differently than it did last year. But you saw it right away, Kyle. I mean, they tried it. And I was a little worried after Bryce missed on that first deep ball. Maybe they won't try this again. They're a little bit nervous, whatever. No, 84 yards to the house. We knew he had the speed. You see him outrun a guy down the sideline. Jameson Williams checks every box. he can return obviously as well. Excited to see him get to do that this season. But this group as a whole is another group that is just so deep. I mean, you look at guys like Javon Baker, who we thought coming into the season, maybe a starter. He only maybe got 1 target in that game, 2 targets. There's just so many different guys they can turn to. And, Nick Saban said it today. We haven't even really gotten into the full depth of our wide receiver room. There's so much youth. Guys like JoJo Earl, Ajay Hall, Ja'Cory Brooks still haven't really gotten their chance yet. You look at Bryce Young. He set a debut record at Alabama for passing yards and touchdowns in the first half. And this is without Nick Saban really unloading the full playbook. So these wide receivers are really going to get involved this season. Love how it was Slade Bolden first, then John Metchie, then Jameson Williams, just spreading the football out and having tight ends like Cameron Latu, potentially Jahleel Billingsley, and other guys like that. This allows you to open it up completely, and I'm excited to see it. And Bryce, the more he gets comfortable too, the more these receivers feel comfortable running routes for him.
Here on Bama Insider, Kyle Henderson along with Trey Yanity. Let's kind of switch gears from Saban to the player interviews. Pipe in some sound bites. Again, you can watch Nick Saban's full press conference on our YouTube channel. Just refresh your page and go to Bama Insider and look for Nick Saban's latest press conference as we are here in beautiful Tuscaloosa. A little bit cloudy, a little bit overcast, but that's not stopping us from talking Alabama football following Alabama's 44-13 win over the Miami Hurricanes. I'm sure you watched that game last night, and it was exciting. Florida State and Notre Dame, and then tonight you got Ole Miss taking on Louisville. Hey, what's up, Andrew? We appreciate you, man. I mean, you're a student and you're super chatting us. We appreciate you so much. So thank you very much. Super chat, certainly a tip for the staff. I want to talk about this clip right here from John Metchie. And John Metchie's talking about Bryce Young up in this next clip. And look, John Metchie's a straight baller, right? One of those guys who has the icy veins, who's a big-time playmaker. He wasn't surprised at all by Bryce Young's performance. It's a really good soundbite. Let's get to it. I think it's at 1:53. Give me 1 second. This was a long press conference for these guys.
Yeah, what's the dynamic like for a receiver when you're out in a pattern, you see Bryce starting to take off, whether it's a run, whether he's going to run or he's going to throw, what is going through your mind when you see him kind of step up in the pocket like that?
It's just kind of the same thing, to get open. Luckily, we have a quarterback that's good with his feet and can make plays happen and extend a lot of plays. So kind of just get open and continue to keep the play alive.
And I like this soundbite most importantly. I think it's at 2:50, where he's like literally talking about the overall performance.
John, what impressed you most about Bryce and his starting debut on Saturday?
I don't know. I don't know what I could say really impressed me the most. I've kind of expected it, especially practicing with him every day, being with him every day. It's kind of something that I expected, and it's kind of just something that college football fans and everybody else was finally able to see.
Hey, before we get into more from John Metchie, I mean, we could talk about Bryce Young all day long. I didn't know. I don't think anybody knew the type of performance he was going to have, clearly, right? I mean, that's all hypothetical. But going into this game, we knew that he was a playmaker. I mean, some of the plays that he made, especially that first drive, and probably a lot of you maybe missed that because that Oklahoma was on the ropes against Tulane again, right? Oklahoma's defense is just the same thing.
Big 12 football.
Yeah, Big 12 football. But anyways, so Bryce comes out, leads the team down. They're going for it right away. And, the touchdown to Metchie leaps into the end zone, hits the pylon. It was a baller move. I mean, your take on Bryce, and maybe we'll pipe in some Bryce Young's press conference from following the Miami game. Your take on Bryce Young and kind of what he displayed in that opening game.
You just said it, Kyle. We knew he had the ability to make plays, to make big plays, but I didn't realize he was this kind of a playmaker every single play. I mean, I had my doubts. I have to be honest. I was coming into week number 1 a week ago right now. I was a bit skeptical. I think we all were to an extent because, we saw him throw 1 touchdown pass and it was behind his receiver on a route over the middle. He probably shouldn't have thrown the football on. We didn't really know. We felt confident, and really watching in the spring, watching A-Day, getting back here in the fall and getting to go to practice and really see him work through those drills, I think we got a little bit better idea. Okay, he gets it now. He's been able to work with Bill O'Brien, who has meant a lot and everything else. And, he's really understanding it better. But I don't think I was going to be sold until we saw him go out there and do what he did. And he oversold. I mean, there was really nothing else he could have done. The one fumble, like Nick Saban mentioned today, that's really not on him.
Mm-hmm.
You look at, his incompletions, a lot of them, there were incompletions he had to make. And one thing that I really want to talk about that I think is just him doing the little things correctly all the way. There was a play where he was getting sacked. He was kind of falling backwards. Cameron Latu was the tight end on the play. He wasn't even looking at Bryce. And Latu, bigger tight end. He kind of looks like a lineman. Bryce, while getting sacked, was able to recognize, okay, this is an eligible receiver. Checked it down to him, and it was an incompletion. Instead of intentional grounding or a sack, just the little things like that. Bryce Young, you're on your way to a Heisman. It's way too early. This is rat poison, Kyle, but keep playing like this, and you're well on your way. One
of my favorite things about the post-game press conference from Bryce is that, and this is something that we learned, is Bryce refers to Bill O'Brien as OB. I like that.
OB.
And then somebody else in the comment box said, why not just Bob? Because Bill O'Brien, right?
True.
So what about just Bob? I don't know. That's on them, OB. So Bill O'Brien coming out. And one of the things is, when you look at this offense as a whole, right? The offensive coordinator is Bill O'Brien. It's coming in from the NFL. The offensive line, you know who their coach is? Former Jaguars head football coach and Doug Marrone. So, when you look to this entire team, the offense, looked electric from the gates, and really impressive to see them coming out. John Metchie, everyone was talking about the high stepping. Really wasn't much. he's like, look, I was in the game. I was in the moment. I also talked about Trey Sanders. Again, you can watch that full press conference in its entirety right here on BamaInsider.com. Let's go to Brian Branch. And we saw a lot of him. Gave up a touchdown. Saban called him out. He did. It was a good ball by Derek King and hooked up with his wide receiver against Alabama. Here's Brian Branch. He's talking about kind of that secondary overall. Talking about Josh Jobe, Jordan Battle, some of the vets. Let's get to that. I think it's at 10:30. Give me 1 second while I scrub this video to that point.
Yeah, when you see a dual threat passer like Derek King was, like Bryce Young, when they start to step up in the pocket and they might scramble, but they're still behind the line of scrimmage, how do you react, with the run and threat option still out there as in the secondary?
Good thing we go against Bryce and Jalen Miro almost every day, because they like to step up in the pocket. And so once they do that, we match our receivers and run with them wherever they go. And practicing that we was able to maintain with our receiver and just let the D-line hurry up and get to the quarterback. And so I think that's how we maintain it.
Aaron?
There were times last year where communication may have been an issue on defense, certain games, especially when teams started going fast. It didn't appear to be an issue yesterday at all. How would you sort of characterize, and what was your experience with the communication on the defense yesterday?
I think the communication was good. We all have chemistry. We all just be able to move around and play fast. And, I think communication was better than last year's. So,
John?
All right, Brian Branch right here, one of Alabama's secondary players, talking about the defense and kind of the communication. I guess I didn't find it was still a good soundbite to play. Trey, your take on that secondary, because you mentioned it earlier, with DeMarco Hellams out, Brian Branch being a very versatile player that they can use around Malachi Moore. You saw him doing his thing. He's still, Malachi Moore is everywhere. We could talk about him as well. Your thoughts on the secondary? Look, Miami, maybe they didn't have the firepower that we were expecting, but this secondary overall, I think, there's plenty of depth and plenty of playmakers.
Oh, for sure. Really the one thing I take from week one is just the formations, if nothing else, the way that they were able to put them into the game, because outside of that drive, they weren't tested all that much. You look at the defensive line, you look at the edge rush, and that's where I think Alabama really won this game on defense. There wasn't much time for Derek King to throw the ball downfield or, to really work the defensive backs on Alabama, because he didn't have any time to throw the football. So Brian Branch and Malachi Moore did everything that they had to do in this game, other than the one touchdown, of course, and Brian got a little bit dinged up. But outside of that, they looked perfect, and they looked so aggressive and energetic, and that's something I love to see out of defensive backs, something we kind of missed out on, 2-3 seasons ago when that defense was a little bit younger. They weren't as experienced. They weren't as energetic. This group is experienced. They have a great knowledge of the playbook. They're working with Pete Golding well, and they're just bringing so much energy. But I think for week one, it was certainly set up by that edge rush, and, without the D-line's performance, I don't think we see I think we see the DBs maybe have to work a little bit harder.
here on Bama Insider. My name is Kyle Henderson. He's Trey Yanity, breaking down what we learned against Miami as we enter Alabama versus Mercer week. Here's a clip from Bryce Young following the game, talking about OB after that performance, throwing for 344 yards and 4 touchdowns. Let's welcome in Bryce Young.
Your first throw, the first play call, you were throwing deep. They weren't asking you to throw a screen pass or a get to know you kind of play. How did that feel, and what was that moment like being on the field for the first time as a starting quarterback?
Yeah, no, that really just getting that trust from OB, from Coach Saban, that speaks volumes as a quarterback, especially, me who I know, prior, it's technically hadn't taken a starting snap, but for him to trust me and we knew it a little bit from the plan going in, but to know we were going to take a shot early, and for him to trust me and not try to hold back or change any play calls, that means a lot. And I feel like that was definitely trust I was trying to build and establish in the offseason. But having that trust from Coach Saban and from OB it means a lot to me.
Bryce, for people who haven't known who you are for a while, you've been kind of at the top of the food chain from IE Ducks all the way to Matter Day, and now you're here. People kind of expected you to have sort of a filling out period, but is it sort of I guess a confidence builder that you are who people thought you were? And even though there were so many questions like, can you handle it? Can you take the mantle of this national championship program?
That's a good question. I'd say I didn't feel too much of that. Really, for me, external pressure is something that's always going to be there. It's not really something that I'm focused on and we're focused on as a group. For me, it was just trying to do my best to help the team, and that's what it's always been. And that's what's going to be for as long as I'm, for all season. It's just doing what I can to execute the game plan, us coming out, working during the week, and then executing on the weekend. So, I'm not really a big, broad, big picture type of guy. It's what week are we on, who are we preparing for, and that's all I was focused on. And really, I got a lot of confidence and a lot of boost from my teammates on both sides of the ball. Everybody I'm blessed to have the team that I have, and a lot of confidence came from them and the work we put in, but I've just been focused on this game.
Bryce Young, 344 yards, 4 touchdown passes, completely balled out. My name is Kyle Henderson. He's Trey Yanity. Before we wrap it up and get back to you guys enjoying this beautiful Monday, wherever you're at, we appreciate you more than you know. I wanted to pipe in one more soundbite from Nick Saban, but recapping Bryce Young's performance now, the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman Trophy, more rat poison to throw at the University of Alabama, right? This guy is cool, collected. This was his first start. He set passing records for the Chick-fil-A, kickoff classic for the University of Alabama, completely balls out. Has these $1 million endorsements. Mac Jones is a starter. Jalen Hurts is a starter. Tua is a starter. This guy comes in cool, collected, completely balls out. Give us a final take on Bryce Young, Trey, from his week 1 performance.
If we see this Bryce Young the rest of the year, there's no doubt in my mind he wins the Heisman, and he maybe goes down as the best out of all 4 of those quarterbacks. That's a hot take. That's rat poison. That is maybe a crazy statement after week number 1, and I don't want to be one of those guys that gets on here and overreacts, because that's kind of what I'm doing right now. But I think if he can play anywhere close to what he did in week number 1, he's your Heisman Trophy winner, no doubt in my mind.
Whoa. Throwing out the big rat poison.
That's a lot of it.
That could be like overreaction Monday, right?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I got you. Okay. The last soundbite that I wanted to add, and very important, is I'm going back to Saban. So let me see if I can do this. And we're going to play, I think it's at 11 minutes, when Saban is talking about Will Reichard, who has now hit 18 field goals in a row. It's the longest streak in the country. He was 3 for 3 against Miami. He boomed a 51-yarder that had a nice little draw to it. And, the guy has been fantastic, was perfect on PATs. Here's Coach Saban talking about his kicker, Will Reichard.
Preparation for the next game, and that's, pretty much what our plan is on every Monday, and that's not going to be any different today just because it's a holiday.
Okay, we got 3 more. We'll start with Steven.
Coach, just talk about Will Reichard's confidence as a kicker and how contagious that is for the offense.
Well, I think that, the entire team has a lot of confidence in Will. Guy's been outstanding last year and so far this year, and did a really good job kicking off in the game as well as making the field goals. So I think the whole team has a lot of confidence in them. I think, I guess the offensive team does too, but, the offensive team really wants to score touchdowns. So, when they kick a field goal, maybe they're not so happy about it, but they're certainly happy for him.
We'll go to Tony.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a good stopping point. Look, we hope that you have a fantastic rest of your Monday, a great start to your week. We hope you've made time to hang out with your family, your loved ones, go to a barbecue, hit the lake, play some golf, whatever you do. And then most importantly, college football is back, and you got a game tonight as Ole Miss takes on Louisville, minus Lane Kiffin. So that's going to be interesting to see how they go down. I'm interested to see this Matt Corral kid again. I mean, that guy's a baller. I think he's going to be a problem for a lot of teams, and I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. My name is Kyle Henderson. He's Trey Yanity, both of BamaInsider.com. We're still scheduled to have Monday Night Quarterback tonight, so definitely join Mick Gillespie and Tony Tsoukalos and Andrew Bone tonight. And Andrew Bone will have a nice recruiting recap. As you know, Emmanuel Henderson, maybe you don't know this, but Emmanuel Henderson, no relationship to Kyle Henderson, rushed for 344 yards Friday night, completely balled out. We sent Trey, true story, this is an insider nugget. We sent Trey to Tuscaloosa County High School. Trey, give him the story, because we sent him to go watch Thompson versus County High. Poor Trey couldn't even get highlights.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any Tuscaloosa County fans watching. Brace yourself. You probably know the final score. It was 51-0 at the half. Didn't get too many highlights of that one. Go watch Thompson if you guys get the chance. That team, oh my goodness. But yeah, it's fun, Kyle, and Emmanuel Henderson too, and Kobe Prentice the week before that went crazy. Yeah. So all these Bama commits going off right now.
You guys enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll be back tonight with Monday Night Quarterback. He's Trey Yanity. I'm Kyle Henderson. Thank you very much for being a part of our YouTube channel. We sincerely appreciate you. Until next time, my friends, catch you soon.